The gate had been live for 3 days. The credentials arrived before the vehicles. The vehicles arrived before barrier opened. The system was doing exactly what it was designed to do. Company registration, vehicle registration, driver names. Nothing moved without confirmation. For most people, that meant success. The system launched. The system functioned. Move on, not move on, because the gate was no longer just a gate. Everything was feeding into it. Deliveries, approvals, personnel. Gate was becoming part of how the house moved. A system that worked on day one and not proof of strength, only proof that nobody had tested them yet. I started with the transport records, company names, vehicle registration, delivery schedules, driver names. At first, nothing stood up. Everything matched, everything was approved, everything was exactly where it was supposed to be. That should have reassured me. It didn't. I wasn't looking for failure, I was looking for ownership. The boys were playing nearby, completely absorbed in a world that only made sense to them. Watched them for a moment, not because I was avoiding the records, because they were the reason I cared. The empire paid for my education, fed this house, kept the twins safe. If the empire failed, everything connected to it failed too. That's why I kept looking. The younger twin became upset. The toy driver he liked had been removed from the truck. The older twin picked it up, placed it back inside, then pushed the truck forward again. The truck moved, the driver changed, the truck still moved. I looked back at the records, then at the boys, then back at the records. Something bothered me, not enough to call it a problem yet. Later that afternoon, Juno walked into the room. He noticed the files immediately.
You are still reviewing the transport logs?
Yes,
Have you found something?
I don't know.
Explain.
The transport companies use, are they contracted?
Some are, most do not.
When a delivery is needed, who decides which company comes?
Operations, availability, cost. Why do you ask?
Because I can't tell who owns the process. The same company appears, then disappears. Another company arrives, then another. The deliveries continue, the vehicle continue, the process continue. But nobody seems responsible for the whole thing. Only they are part of it. Same company, different driver, different vehicle, same destination. Too many people touching the process.
You are talking about accountability.
I'm talking about ownership. Remember when the medical supply agents kept changing, you reduced the number of people involved, created clear responsibility in long-term contracts. When the approvals became digital, you reduced uncertainty, you created clear responsibility. This feels similar, not the same, just similar. I returned to the records. The same names kept returning, different companies, different days. The vehicles rotated, the registration updated, the credentials remained valid. I did not know what it meant. That was the honest answer. I saw a pattern. I did not yet understand the pattern. I circled every driver name, different. Then I closed the notebook. For the first time since the gate conversation began, I wasn't confident.
What do you need?
More dates, more data.
And then?
Then I'll know whether this matters or whether I'm chasing shadows. He nodded. He didn't ask for an answer. He didn't ask for a theory. He didn't ask for a timeline. That was new. When I first arrived in South Korea, I thought I was here to finish a degree. Then I became responsible for 2 boys. Then I started noticing problems that weren't mine around them. Somewhere along the way, they became mine. After I left, I looked at the closed notebook. The names were still inside. The pattern was still inside. The question was still inside. The gate was improving. I knew that. What I didn't know was whether everything fitting in it was improving too. The boys were still playing. My notes were still unfinished. And somewhere inside those records, there was a question I still couldn't answer. Who owned the process? The gate was improving. The question was whether it was improving fast enough. Amara had seen a pattern she could not explain yet. And sometimes the most important observations begin as questions nobody can answer yet.